Last August, my friend Olivia and I decided to drive to a primitive campsite located on the bank of some reservoir in the eastern Cascades. The place was little more than a numbered patch of pale dirt, a fire ring we couldn't use because of restrictions, and a narrow strip of shoreline that lied below us. The reason we chose this particular location was its relative coolness compared to the scorching ground around it, and even after sunset, heat kept rising through the soles of my shoes. Wildfire haze had flattened the mountains across the reservoir into a single gray shape, and the last light over the water looked dim and orange. We set up one small tent between the car and the shoreline. There was no wind, so we kept a lantern low and sat beside it while watching insects cluster under our tent's plastic cover. Olivia noticed the movement first. She suddenly leaned forward and told me about seeing something beyond the reeds. At first, I thought she saw a bird. Then I saw a dark shape pass beneath the surface. There was no way it could swim because the depth at that point could not have been greater than my waist height. It didn't swim. Instead, it glided slowly, disappeared behind the reeds, and stopped. And then we listened. A few seconds later, water shifted in 3 heavy pushes, not splashing, more like someone placing their feet carefully and trying not to make noise. So I called toward the shoreline and asked if anyone needed help. No one responded. Olivia thought it might be some fisherman who was checking his fishing lines. I suggested a deer, although neither of us could believe that, since we heard those thuds from the water. We stayed near the lantern for a while, watching the dark part of the reeds. Nothing else moved. Eventually, the heat drove us to crawl into the tent, where we left both sides unzipped behind the mesh. I can remember lying there without sleeping bag, listening to the sounds of insects striking the fabric. Then I heard a cry coming from the shoreline. It was human and brief, a single strained yell that cut off abruptly before Olivia or I could make out a word. She whispered that we should call out again. Before I could answer, something stepped out of the water. I couldn't see anything, but I could hear the slow drag of wet feet across the dry bank. Every single step was accompanied by the faint pressing and releasing sound, and afterward, crunching the ground. The sound moved uphill toward us. Our lantern was still outside. All it lit up was the bottom part of the tent and the strip of dirt behind it. A dark patch appeared there, then another, as drops began landing in the dusty ground. Olivia already held the car key in her hand. We waited until the footsteps shifted toward the empty chairs, then slipped through the rear opening of the tent and ran the short distance to the vehicle. We locked the doors and stayed there until dawn. Nothing touched the car. We saw nobody leaving. Once the light was bright enough, we rushed back to grab our stuff. One set of wet, bare footprints emerged from the lower part of the shoreline, moved across our campsite, and stopped near the flattened patch where our tent stood. And I still don't know why.
Like, share, subscribe.